our introduction to exercise 8E on stem and leaf plots on page 444 of your textbook. Now, we've been learning about ways to present numerical and categorical data in different ways. A stem and leaf plot allows us to find different trends a bit easier on a numerical data base. So basically, we're just saying if I'm presented with numbers, it might be easier to look at them as a stem and leaf plot as opposed to just looking at the numbers in whole. You'll see why in a second. So in a stem and leaf plot, each number is split into a stem and a leaf. So leaves are aligned vertically and listed in ascending order, moving away from the stem. Now I'm saying these words, they probably don't mean as much until we get into it, but an example I've provided on the right hand side should explain a little bit. So what we have is we have the stem on one side. Now typically in year 7 we only do one stem, and we'll look at it from the left hand side. So the stem being on the left hand side. On the right hand side, we have the leaf. Basically all we're doing is we're separating the numbers so it's a bit easier to see. Instead of writing 31, what they've done is they've written 3 and then had the line in the middle to symbolize the 30 and then the 1. So what we've seen is that the 3-1 symbolizes the 31. So instead of writing 31, let's say, instead of writing 31, 31, 33, 36, what I can do is I can change that, write it as in stem and leaf plot and write 31, 31, oops, I've already forgotten the numbers, there we go, 31, 31, 33, and 36, and we read them across. So 31, then we have 31, we have 33, and we have 36. It kind of just helps us save space and actually understand and see what patterns are available. And finally, you'll see it says that a key connects each stem and leaf. So it connects each stem and leaf, meaning that we can see, based off this, that 3 line 1 means 31. Sometimes you'll end up with something like this, where the number 7 doesn't have a second digit. It's only got the first digit, which means we might write it as 0, 7. Now for this, I think it's really important where you apply this because it's a bit of a more application style question or concept. So let's get right into it. For this question over here, it says we have to represent this set of data as a stem and leaf plot. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange these values so that I have them in ascending order. Just a reminder, ascending means increasing order. So the smallest number I have is 10, and then I believe the next one is 16, then 23, 25, 25, there we go, and then 27 and 31, 31, and then it's 33, 34, 33, 34, and there's another 34, 34, 34, I think I'm going to run out of space, and then there's two 36s and a 37, and a 37. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split them into a stem and leaf plot. So I'm going to write stem on one side, I'm going to write leaf on the other, and then you can see that I've gone ahead and drawn that stem and leaf plot. I'm going to write that a little bit neater. There we go. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the first digit of these numbers. I'm seeing this, I'm thinking, okay, well there's a 10, that's the smallest number I have. The largest number I have is 37. So I'm thinking, well, the numbers are going to be from 10 to 37. I'm going to start with writing 1, 2, and 3 here because they all start with either 1, 2, or 3. Now I know that 10, I can show that, well, 1 line 0 means 10. That's what I'm saying. Because sometimes it might actually mean 1.0, or maybe it means 100. But we're specifying that in this stem and leaf plot, 1 line 0 means 10. Based off that, I can write the 0 there. Bam, I've ticked off the 10. Now to write the 16, I don't write 16 here like that. I take the first number from the stem, and I only write the second number, which would be the 6. And there we go, we've ticked off 16 as well. And we do the same thing for the 2's. So the next number is 23. So I'm going to write a 3 here, and that shows the 23. I'm going to do a 25, that's a 25 by the way. I'm going to write the 5 here, so that's 25. I've ticked that off. 27, and that's all of the 20s. Now I'm going to do the 30s. So I'm going to go with 31, 33, 34, 36, 36, oh, I've missed the 34, 36, and 37. You'll see that I only write the last digit or whatever's in my leaf. And I've included a key so that we can actually read what our graph, or our plot, sorry, means. Based off this, you can see that our numbers are more skewed towards the numbers being larger towards the 37 side as opposed to being closer to the 10. And that's what we can tell based off using a stem and leaf plot. You can see what we've done is we've listed the leaves vertically, which would be in this direction here. And we list them in ascending order, moving away from the stem. As we move away from the stem, we get larger and larger in number. Now remember that this number here doesn't just mean 7, it means 27. Okay? So theoretically, we should be going in increasing order following these values here. It's kind of like a weird snake that goes in this direction and gets larger and larger in that direction. So now that we've learned how to actually draw stem and leaf plots, we also need to make sure we know how to read them. Now over here, it says that average daily temperatures are shown for some of the countries. And we've got the stem and leaf plot. We've got the stem on the left-hand side with 1, 2, 3, and leaf on the right-hand side showing them in increasing order. We've also got a key which shows that 2 line 5 means 25 degrees. So we have to keep that in mind as we move on. Now the first question says to write out the temperatures as a list, sorry. So I'm going to write that out by writing 13, that's our first number. 16, remember it's not just 6 by itself, it's 16. Another 16, 20, another 20, 21, 22, 25, 25, 26, 28, 29, 30, and 32. Remember not to fall into the trap of writing just the number in the leaf end because that's not correct. Awesome. So we've got that. Now we have to write down how many countries' temperatures were represented. What I can do is instead of writing out the list every time, I can just count how many numbers there are on the leaf. So I'm going to say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I can say that there are 14 countries or values represented. So that is 14 here. What are the minimum and maximum temperatures? We can look at this and we can say, well, the smallest one's going to be the one in the most top left, which is going to be our 13. And a maximum value is going to be what's in the most bottom right, which is going to be not just 2, but 32. So we get 32 degrees and 13 degrees. The next question asks us what the range of the temperatures recorded are. Now you need to remember that the range is the formula where we have, and we'll write this down here, D, is our highest take away our lowest. So in this case, it's our maximum, which is 32, take away our lowest, which is 13, and we get a value of 19 degrees. And then finally for question E, it says what is the median temperature? Now remember median, we have to find what number's in the middle, starting from smallest to the biggest. You can use the temperatures we've written out as a list, but I'm going to use the stem and leaf plot. So I'm going to have 13, 16, 16. I'm going to just keep in mind how many numbers. I'm going to highlight, because remember, there were a total of 14, weren't there? So I'm going to go 7 each way. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the 7th number. If I go backwards, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The number that's our median is actually the number in between. It's going to be the number right here. But unfortunately, we don't actually have those numbers. So remember what we need to do is add those numbers together and divide it by 2. Or in other words, find the average. So the first number, which is this one right here, is not just 2, it's 22. And the second number, that one there, is 25. So we add them together, and remember we divide it by 2. Adding them together, I know that I get 47 on top over 2. I know that 47 divided by 2 is, let's say, 46 divided by 2, and add a half. So 46 divided by 2 is 23, so 23 and a half. And there we go. So that's stem and leaf plots as a whole. Please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, best of luck.